You know, prisons are not free. And I think we really need to wake up to this fact, guys, that the things that the government provides, they're not free. You know, people talk about free healthcare, free hospitals, free, what else they have? Free hospitals, free, what was the other thing? Free education, right? People are like, oh, you know, they're cutting funding on schools and all that stuff. Government's not providing these schools. Where do you think government gets the money from? Government gets the money from us. They overtax us and then they waste it on their bureaucracy. They pay themselves these exorbitant salaries, and then what's left over? They give us some hospitals and some schools and some roads and some healthcare. You know, if we just took government out of the picture, because it's not even their job is to punish evildoers. Their job is not to run the economy and tell us, you know, what we can buy. And the government just doesn't tell us what phone to buy. Did the government tell you to buy Samsung or Apple? No, right? So why should they tell you which school your kids can go to, which hospital you can go to, what roads you can and can't drive? I mean, this is not the government's place. And in fact, if the government was out of it, we'd have better roads, we'd have better hospitals, we'd have better schools, because they wouldn't be wasting it all on their salary, wasting it all on the extra administration and regulations that they put in, wasting it on all the bureaucracy, you know, sending the money to them and sending it back. What about all the transaction fees as well? You know, because when you pay your taxes, there's transaction fees as well. There's merchants making money off that too. So it's just this huge bloated machine that should not be in these things. So before we go out and go rally for the government to pay for something else, hopefully none of you guys are doing that here, but you know, before you get this mindset of, yeah, the government should put more money into hospitals, the government should put more money into schools, the government should put more money into healthcare. Where do you think they're getting that money from? You know, we're already $500 billion in debt. Did you know that? And we have a deficit. So we have a debt, which just means how much money we owe. It's like $500 billion. It's not as much as America, but Australia still is in debt, $500 billion. And we have a deficit, which means that the revenue, the tax revenue that they collect, they are still spending more than they collect. So they're not even touching the debt that they owe. And you have people campaigning politically to say, I want more money for my hospital, I want more money for my school. We don't have money. The country doesn't have money. You know, unless you want to pay more taxes, they're not going to have any more money. We need to reduce the size of government, get the government out of these things, and then the free market can figure out, you know, what's the best thing to do. You know, technology is just a great example of the free market. You see technology, the free market works, and technology just makes leaps and bounds. You know, the computers a couple of years ago were the size of a room, and now you can fit everything that was in that room in the palm of your hand. And now government's trying to get involved into it, right? Intellectual property, regulations. This is what makes phones so expensive. If the government got out of it, I'm sure iPhone wouldn't cost $1,000. It might only cost $500, right? Because Apple wouldn't have to ship all their jobs to China in order to make it affordable for you. You know, there's a reason why companies don't make things in Australia, don't make things in America, because it's too expensive. You know, if you want to pay $1,000 for an iPhone, it's got to be made in China. If you want an Australian-made iPhone, are you willing to pay $3,000 for an iPhone? You see, so you got to think about, you know, think through this logically. That, you know, how do I get onto this? Yeah, so prisons are not free. You know, so if we want prisons, who's going to pay for them? I don't want to pay somebody that should be put to death to live in a prison.